VPN, Chris Moore. A virtual private network extends a private network across a public network and enables users to send and receive data across shared or public networks as if their computing devices were directly connected to the private network. Applications running across a VPN may therefore benefit from the functionality, security, and management of the private network. A VPN connection requires a VPN server and a VPN client. The server is the gatekeeper at one end of the tunnel, the client is at the other. The main difference between the server and the client is that it's the client that initiates the connection with the server. A VPN client can establish a connection with just one server at a time. However, a server can accept connections from many clients simultaneously. A VPN connection can be on at all times, but it may also be turned on as needed by using VPN client software. In most cases, the user will have to start the VPN client software manually. The software then encrypts the data even before it hits the ISP or the coffee shop Wi-Fi providers. The data then goes to the VPN encrypted and is processed at the other end of the tunnel by the VPN server. Cisco implementations include configuring the GRE tunnel, configuring network address translation, configuring encryption and IPsec configuration, quality of service, and finally configuring the Cisco IOS firewall features. Fortinet offers a one-click IPsec tunnel feature between its own FortiGates, as well as templates for connecting with other brands such as Cisco. With OpenVPN, one of the servers in the subsidiary office has an OpenVPN client program installed on a Linux operating system, which has an OpenVPN tunnel connection to the OpenVPN access server at the headquarters. Businesses use VPNs to provide site-to-site connections to branch, remote, or satellite offices for connecting back to HQ and/or other branches, such as in a full mesh design. When workers connect from locations such as their homes, cafes, or hotels, they use a remote type of VPN. Remote access VPNs use either IPsec or SSL to provide the gateway into the network for the VPN client software to connect. Furthermore, cloud providers such as AWS, Google, and Azure also provide their own flavors of VPN connections. A site-to-site VPN allows offices in multiple fixed locations to establish secure connections with each other over a public network such as the Internet. Site-to-site VPNs extend the company's network, making computer resources from one location available to employees at other locations. An example of a company that needs a site-to-site VPN is a growing corporation with dozens of branches around the world. In a hub and spoke VPN topology, multiple remote devices, spokes, communicate securely with a central device, a hub. A separate secured tunnel extends between the hub and each individual spoke. In a point-to-point VPN technology, two devices communicate directly with each other without the option of an IPsec failover as in a hub and spoke configuration. In this topology, every device in the network communicates with every other device through a unique IPsec tunnel. All devices have direct peer relationships with one another, preventing a bottleneck at the VPN gateway device and saving the overhead of encrypting and decrypting on the device. Extranet-based VPNs allow businesses to work closely with clients, suppliers, or other companies who are willing to invite authorized third parties to access their network for ease of communication. A remote access VPN allows workers in locations around the world to establish secure connections back to the corporate network by way of a public network such as the internet. Just as with site-to-site VPNs, remote access VPNs extend the company's network, making corporate resources available to workers. Almost all companies offer remote access VPNs and have offered the service for several years. The proliferation of the Internet of Things has created new demands on remote access VPN technologies. IPsec is a Layer 3 VPN. For both network-to-network and remote access deployments, an encrypted Layer 3 tunnel is established between the peers. An SSL VPN, in contrast, is typically a remote access technology that provides Layer 6 encryption services for Layer 7 applications, and through local redirection on the client, tunnels other TPC protocols. From a purely technical standpoint, you may be able to run both IPsec and SSL VPN simultaneously unless the IPsec and SSL VPN products use the same installed client software on the user's computer. For both IPsec VPNs and SSL, you'll always have to worry about authentication and access. If you're in a smaller environment, you can use local authentication on the firewall. Most environments will leverage Active Directory as the authentication source for the VPN using either Radius or LDAP. Both protocol options are relatively easy to set up, and it's easy to forget to use secure options for both. Businesses should consider who should require remote access in the first place. Management should be able to provide valid business reasons to extend remote access, at what times the remote access should occur, and even from which locations, in the event that international travel may put the worker in a location that may be otherwise blocked by security policies. AWS, Azure, and Google have developed VPN technologies for their own clouds. Each cloud provider named their service with their own particular flair, but the technologies work in very similar fashions. The technologies are even compatible enough that many customers run workloads in clouds from multiple vendors, and they are able to configure the systems to connect to each other through different clouds. This effectively removes the data from the corporate premises while maintaining premium uptime regardless of where the users are located. As many remote workers may have noticed, there really is no guarantee that they will be able to connect to a VPN just because they find an internet connection. Many businesses that provide free Wi-Fi and free internet connection have put VPN blocks in place on their networks. These blocks are implemented by the owners of the network. Therefore, the workers and their company don't have much say in lifting the VPN block. IT departments have found it to be much less of a security risk if they don't open their networks for their users as they please. As a result, businesses have resorted to purchasing mobile hotspots, data cards, and mobile data plans for their workers.